The lights are up and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and think he missed the complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
The comfort of your mom's extended arm as a safety belt, the freedom of riding a bike without a helmet, or the satisfaction of slapping back the cartridge on a typewriter. All lost to the modern world. But today, nostalgia reigns supreme as the calendar is flipped back to a simpler time as the Lotus 49 World Cup Championship presented by Tidal Influence visits the historic Nordschleife layout here at the Nürburgring. And all the season finale action can be seen live as it happens here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Good knock the talk, and welcome to GSRC's Countdown to Green. I'm Bill Soupson. Back again is our Lotus 49 expert Joe Peak. Making it all happen is our director Amjad Yaman, and Dougie Beard is the camera guru. If you brought cyberspace into your place, and over the next 10 Screamy Award-worthy minutes, GSRC will bring you all the storylines, all the stats and facts you need to appreciate the 8 laps of simulated historic open-wheel racing that will be streaming your way. This broadcast is made possible thanks to the good folks at the ecological consulting firm based in Long Beach, California, called Tidal Influence. They restore the wetlands, save and study endangered species, and educate children about our environment. For more information, go to TidalInfluence.com. Longtime viewers of GSRC are pleased with the results from the last round at Brands Hatch, as longtime friend of the broadcast, William Billy Bob Wright went wire to wire to pick up the win, his first ever on a GSRC broadcasted event. Another USA driver, Jack Olstad, started third past AJ, the koala bear, on the lap number 4 and brought it home in the runner-up position. And the Aussie bear finished third. Now, this commentator does not want to downplay the accomplishments of the aforementioned drivers, but it would be remiss if he did not mention that neither Mick the Quick Claridge or Michel Dugeron were in the field, and Ovre Trengere qualified in 11th. So, Joe, let's talk about the last part of the season. It sure is nostalgic feel to it here with Le Mans and then Brands Hatch and now this place.
And this place is the Nürburgring, the Nordschleife, the Green Hell. It has many names and nicknames, and none of them do it justice. At nearly 13 miles long with over 150 turns, it should be obvious why this place is considered the most difficult track in the world. If it was built today, people would say it's something out of a video game. It's just that ridiculous in size. But because they constructed this behemoth back in the 1920s, it's considered just part of the racing landscape. Drivers today won't be as worried about outright pace so much as just surviving. I could keep rambling on and fill books of details about this place, but I think it's better to just shut up and let the viewers... sounds like, unfortunately, Bill, it looks like we won't have time to go through the lap guide, so why don't we head to the championship points?
Well, we'll just talk about those real quick there. You can see that the UK driver Mick Claridge has wrapped up the championship. Congratulations to him for that. Norway's Ovre Trengere is comfortable in second. You know, on the heels of his second place finish at Brands Hatch, American Jack Olstad jumps 4 spots up into third, 59 points out of the lead, and he's staying there, but he's not safe there. Let's go ahead and bring up, look at this, we have 2 overlays here for you, because there's a 4-way tie for fourth. Just behind the third place driver Olstad, 1 point back, are the Aussies Joshua Anderson and AJ Bear. Frenchman Michel Dugeron in there as well, along with Billy Bob Wright, of course. So anything can happen there. Let's take a quick look at the Constructors' Championship. And it's fun to look at this one. Sure, the UK has wrapped it up thanks to Claridge, but the USA has a 1-point lead over Australia and 5 over Norway, so anything can happen there. Remember, though, only the top driver for each nation scores points. Joe, you want to talk about the race details a bit?
Absolutely. This is the final round of the season. It's a great place to finish things up. And of course, as always, we're driving in the Lotus 49, celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. This is an open setup series, and you really need that on a track like this because you need to make sure the car feels comfortable to you around here. And as always, they are not going to be stopping for fuel just like they did in 67. This is only an 8-lap race. This track is so long, that's about how long it takes for about a 45-minute race around here. There are local cautions only, so no full course cautions. Incident cap, Well, they've got 17 incidents that they can rack up before they get DQ'd. If you can get 17 incidents around here and not have the car too damaged to continue, Bill, I will be impressed. There are no fast repairs, and that obviously will come into play since you won't have much time to get the car repaired, get back out there. So you really need to keep the car whole to keep it in the hunt for the win out there today. And the points, just like the rest of the season, they are running by the 1967 rules that pays down to 6th place, where you get 1.469 for a win. And the weather, let's take a look out there, because that can significantly affect the lap times around this track. Today, we're looking at 78 degrees, which isn't too hot, but Bill, 106 degrees out on track. Expect that to produce some pretty slow lap times around this long track.
Now, full disclosure, we did have an abridged version of the lap guide available, but because the laps are so long here, there was just not enough time for these guys to do qualifying. So it's kind of a quickened, we have an abridged version really of the pre-race show, as there is no qualifying. We're jumping right now into the, going to grid the race up. So let's go ahead and bring that up to you right now. On the pole, well, look who it is. It's the Frenchman, Michel Dujean, in here with it. AJ Bear outside of row 1. Mick Claridge and Ove Trengere make up row 2. Bruce Nelson and Billy Bob Wright in 5th and 6th. 7th position goes to Ramon Spetcher, and Jack Ulstadt is in the 8th spot. 9th and 10th, Brett Ryle and Benjamin Soko. Joe?
Frank Oosterhouse starting in 11th with Andrew Ang in 12th. And unlucky number 13, it's David French, followed by Hideki Koivisto. Jacob Meyer, a name that I'm not as familiar with in this series, was going to be starting 15th with Ian Bassi in 16th, Andre Bruno in 17th, and rounding out the field is Don Good. Interesting to see that Bear has out-qualified Mick Claridge here today.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but what's really interesting is Dudignan is about 3 seconds faster than the rest of the field. You can hear the engine starting to harmonize. Gather up the chickens, take cover behind the cows. It is the season finale here of the Lotus 49 Cup Championship. Dudignan leads them into the first corner.
Claridge made a challenge on AJ Bear down into the north curve, but was not able to do anything with it, so he's going to be stuck in 3rd for now. And Bill, there are not many passing opportunities around here, especially in this car. So you've got to take advantage of chances when you've got them.
Let's quickly talk about the draft situation. I know that these cars don't have much effect of them. Certainly on this long straight that's going to come up here in another 4 or 5 minutes, there must be some type of draft that's available.
On some of the longer portions, yes, there is a draft, but amazingly in this car, as they come over the jump for the first time, this is a very scary part, and boy, Claridge got a little loose coming over there. It looks like all of them did manage to get through without any problems, but Claridge is a good example right here. He's close enough that you can start to get a little bit of that draft, but it's not a pure slingshot, and he was definitely helped there by AJ Bear, who backed out of it coming up to the corner.
They were now way into the foxhole. Your leader is Dudignan in front. AJ Bear running in 3rd, just behind Claridge, who's taken over 2nd position. The Norwegian Ove Trengere in 4th. And Bruce Nelson, who's been around here the last part of the season, very competitive, running in 5th.
This is one of the scariest parts for me. Oh, and we've got a problem up in front. That is Mick Claridge. Did he actually make contact with the wall? He got loose coming up in the Outner Forest.
Yeah, the car got very squiggly. He goes right, goes left. He gathers it up. I think the right sides did get up against the wall.
Ooh, that'll be interesting to see.
It's amazing how loose he can get the car and not just have it be a total disaster.
You almost never come back from that there, Bill. I'll be honest. That is a miracle that he's still out there on the track right now. That place is so fast, there's so little runoff that if you lose it there, it's almost always game over. I am amazed at Mick Claridge right now.
Well, we watched him enough in this series that the car always looks almost out of control the entire time. And I can even see that right now as I watch, compared to the way that the car, he has to fight the car compared to the way the Bear seems to be much more locked in.
Well, one of the things about this track, Bill, is that it's very bumpy. You tend to notice it a little bit in other cars, but in this car, there's not a lot of downforce, and so any bumps on any track are really emphasized, and it just knocks it around, and you have to be careful. That's why it looks so unstable, as AJ Baird takes a big chunk of the curbing, and that's going to put Ove Trangerade right on top of him. And once again, you're seeing Bear just think about the long term, and he's going to lift and let him through.
Trangerade still looking for his first win of the season. He's really worked hard. He'd like to get one. He had a Claridge wasn't here last round, and neither was Dudignon. He had an opportunity, but he had a bad qualifying as he qualified 11th, was really never in the hunt. Right now, racing in third.
And one thing that really emphasizes how long this track is, Bill, we're riding on board with Trangerade in third. We could see a little bit of Claridge up front, but we couldn't even see Dudignon. We're not even one lap in already. He's a second ahead. And, oh, did Bear get by Claridge here, I'm seeing? Oh, wait, no, excuse me. No, my timing and scoring was wrong.
Yeah, Dudignon was so fast, 2.5 seconds. I know it's a long track, and that's a little bit misleading, but even here, 2.5 seconds is a pretty substantial margin, especially when you're talking about being faster than Mick Claridge. Here they go through my favorite part of the track, the carousel.
Such a unique portion of this circuit. There's nothing else like it in racing.
It feels like it almost doesn't belong on this track that seems so natural, and then all of a sudden, here's something purposely built, you know?
Well, it actually wasn't really purposely built. That's the thing, Bill. That corner came from the fact that there was a ditch to the inside of that long hairpin, and there was a driver, Caracola, I think was his name, an Italian driver, who used that ditch to kind of help him dig a wheel in on the inside, almost like a rally driver does in modern times. That's why you have that in there, because so many drivers just started using that. They just paved it, and it became a part of the landscape.
It is fun. Let's take a quick look. We're looking back at 10th position. There's Benjamin Zocco running in 10th spot. He's being chased by Frank Osterhaus.
Oh, and Olstad, what's happened to him here? He's off to the side of the track. Let's look at the replay.
Nosed it in. It just got a little bit loose, and then it looks like the left side comes on in, Joe.
And this was just before Brunchen. You'll be amazed, Bill. I actually have to look at my notes to figure out what the corner name is there. Eschbach, that's what it was.
I was tuning in, looking at a little bit of practice, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of cars were having trouble making one lap here.
We've already got 4 of them out, yeah.
Yeah.
Jack Ulstead, David French, Andre Bruno, and Don Good have all had to take a tow in this first lap, so that's probably going to put them a lap down, or at least significantly far back, waiting for that car to get towed in.
And when you talk about an unforgiving track, it doesn't get much more unforgiving than this place. There are maybe Bathurst would be one that would rival it.
That's the closest, yeah. Absolutely. Watkins Glen maybe is a close third as well.
Now, for the first time, the drivers get to really open it up down this long back straight.
Yeah, here's a great example of the draft that you were mentioning on the Danahoa. And boy, most cars, you see get up to about 160 and whatnot. Keep in mind, Bill, they're doing 190, close to 200 miles an hour as we see Trangerade sneak through on the inside, coming through Antonius Beach. Whoa! You got to be careful through there. Mick Claridge got off into the grass, managed to bring it back together.
In fact, we've done a lot of broadcasts here with a lot of underpower cars like the Skippy and the MX-5 where it can actually draft.
What's going on with Dudignon?
Dudignon is off in the pits.
Did he contact the wall somewhere, or did he have a false start? A little bit of damage on the front. Usually, if the car's driving okay, you just keep going. That was very quick. Did he forget fuel, maybe? I've never seen something like that.
I think he picked up that nose. Joe, could you possibly get nose damage on a jump, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. That tends to happen a lot. The cars look a little banged up because they just bottom out in some portions on this track, but that sent him all the way back to 8th. He's going to have his work cut out for him.
Now, when we talk about fuel, and for new viewers, it's possible they have a qualifying set, I guess, that maybe when you race with lighter fuel to get a faster time, maybe that he forgot to put in the race setup, perhaps?
That could be the case, but right now we were looking at our leader, who is now Ove Trangrade. Bill, you talking about him needing a win this season? This is another good opportunity.
He picked up the lead on that pass when he had a slingshot down the long straight. And we were talking about when we do some of the underpower cars like the Skippy, where they can make the pass, get in the draft, make the pass, get in the draft, make the pass 2 or 3 times down that straight. Not going to happen here in these Lotus 49s because they're so fast down there. But yeah, now the Norwegian driver out in front, but not by too much on Mick the Quick. He's only back by about a half a second.
Oh, the battle is on. In the meantime, we don't have to go to it, but Dudonyan overtook Brett Real. He is now up to 7, so that's 1 down. 6 more to go.
Coming out of 4.5 seconds to Ramon Sprecher.
So what can Trangrade do with this pressure if Mick Claridge can stay with him? I think we're going to see a little bit of an ebb and flow because it seems like Mick is very unsteady. Even for him, you know how loose he likes his car. That's a little bit dangerous around a track like this. The car looks nervous around here. You really don't want that.
If you want to talk big picture, remember there's the Constructors' Championship. The top U.S. driver, they sit in a chance to maybe pick up a spot there. Bruce Nelson running in 4th right now. AJ Bear for Australia running in 3rd. And, of course, the big winner is going to be Norway if it stays the way it is right now with Ove Trangrade out in front. And beginning to gap Claridge a bit.
Yeah, up to 1.2. Like I said, I think we're going to see an ebb and a flow because there's going to be certain portions that Mick seems a little bit more confident and maybe Ove not quite as confident. This track is just so long that, usually most tracks we talk about, well, this person's better on the first half of the course and this person's better on the second half. Well, there's just entire chunks. There could be 3 or 4 spots where you're strong in here and 4 or 5 that you're weak.
If you're not an iRacing member, or if you just don't understand, this is the only track where I feel when I'm on it, I actually feel like I am going somewhere. That I'm moving. I am traveling from one place of the earth to another. It is that big. You
really do run up and down some mountains in this track, and you're seeing right now coming through the Kesselchen. This is one of the places where the climb is just enormous. You are going hundreds of feet up in the air, Bill.
And I don't know if there's a more fun car to put on this track than the Lotus 49 because it flies here, Joe. I mean, literally, it flies.
It's so well suited to this track. Yes, it's scary the first time you get out here and try it, but it's a joy to run out here. Oh, and we got a pass. Is this for 6th spot as Michel Dudonyan takes one more past Sprecher?
Oh my goodness, you know what? I was watching that and he was so far back, I said, I'll check him in a little while, but he is so quick. So let's stay on it because Billy Bob Wright is next here, running in 5th position.
This is a confidence track, Bill, and that's what you're seeing is Michel is confident out here. All these other drivers around him, not so much. They're worried about what I said earlier on. Just get to the finish and try and pass up the cars that maybe have problems along the way. Oh, a little bit wide here for Billy Bob, and that's going to allow one more for Michel.
Yeah, I think Michel might have got by a little bit on speed and a little bit on reputation there. I think Billy Bob saw the name in his rearview mirror and said, okay.
Yeah,
but what he does,
not often you see passes in Hedwig's height.
But what he does is a nice battle, though, still, as we look at it. He's got to try to keep that. He's in the final points paying position right there as he's being challenged now by Sprecher.
Yeah, Ramon's picked it up since that pass, or maybe Billy Bob is just not as strong in this portion of it as he works his way into Ashbrook. Actually, no, this is the ice corner. This is another portion where you actually get air. Here, coming into Flansgarden, car just leaps, and this is one of those spots we were talking about earlier, Bill, where you can get damage on the nose, because it's not so much of a jump, so much that the track drops when it's already going downhill, so it really feels like it just clunks underneath you. It doesn't feel good.
Well, Joe, isn't one of the corners or one of the places on the track actually named like airfield, right?
Yeah, Flugplatz, that's what it translates to. That's earlier on in the lap. It's honestly one of the scariest parts, if you ask me. Because to be fast, you need to send it over there and be willing to get a little bit of air. But the more air you get, the easier it is for the car to land weird, and it just shoots off to the side, and there's no saving it. It's just instant. You're gone.
Now the leaders are back onto that long straight now, but it's about 1.3, 1.2. Claridge maybe in a little bit of the toe, but he's way far back than where he needs to be.
Yeah, we got a pass here as Sprecher has pulled the draft on Billy Bob, goes around the outside. They managed to get single file by the time they come to Antonius Beach.
That moves Sprecher up into the final points-paying position.
And unlike Mid-Ohio, Bill, they don't call it a beach here because there's no sand on the outside of the corner. It's because of a beech tree is why it was named that.
Oh.
Different kind of beach.
Let's go back up to the lead for a minute, because after that long straight, Claridge has been able to run down Trengarade. And what is interesting, look back there, AJ Bear, here he comes.
Really gaining ground as they come down through the hill here. This is always another very difficult portion to maximize just because you're braking and turning so much.
We talked about airfield. They're coming up to that pretty soon, right, Joe?
Absolutely. We're riding on board AJ. We're going to be right on the nose. This is quite a leap. Let's see how much he's willing to get. Because here it is right here. Yeah, he kept it pretty low to the ground. He's worried about safety here.
In fact, I checked out a lap guide from, I think Michel Dudignon did a video guide of how to get around here. He even said, give a little lift, just a tiny little lift before you're over there.
And it's not so much for the speed for that. It's actually, well, it's not something you really have to worry about in any other race car in modern times, but you have to control the throttle before you go off because that controls how it flies through the air, Bill. If you give that little bit of lift, basically it keeps a little bit more flat. If you brake, that takes the nose down, and if you're powering through it, that puts the nose up, and you're really going to crash if the nose gets upward when you land.
Very similar to jumping a motorcycle.
Yeah, it's very much like that. Boy, once we get the rallycross cars, which I am excited for now that we saw a video from iRacing, drivers are going to get a lot more experience of what it's like having to get air like that.
One more time, how about a tip of the hat to iRacing? How about a multi-platform, dirt, oval, road? It's a big undertaking these guys try to do.
Very much so. Boy, Billy Bob, after being passed by Sprecher, he's not giving up. He's still within half a second of Ramon. It's the closest battle we've got other than the fight for ninth, which is Zoko and Oosterhuis. Unusual to see Zoko this far back. He's had such a great season. He's all the way down to ninth.
Yeah, started off very hot. Have a hard time of it as of late. Really not competitive here. Frank Oosterhuis wasn't with us early on. Has been around through the last half of the season. Running back there trying to run down Zoko.
Yeah, Oosterhuis, a Benelux driver. So, almost from this area.
That battle goes on. I know we don't always like to focus on the leaders, but it's a pretty good show up there. Separating a little bit now. You know, Joe, you talked about being good on different parts. Trengarade now has opened it up again. I think he likes the technical section that happens here early on.
Yeah, and you know what? I would attribute to that Mick Claridge's car being so twitchy. He can't really push it. Maybe it's a little bit more confident in these higher gears around these faster sweepers. Claridge had a big connection problem there, though. He's back now. Bear in the meantime holding on behind him, just about a second back. Oh, and he's out of the banking. That's going to lose him a lot of time. I think the only saving grace is it looks like AJ had a horrible time heading through there as well. Yeah, AJ got all kinds of loose on entry. Yeah, let's look at the replay of that.
It's kind of a story of two different worlds here. One guy was out of the groove high, one guy was out of the groove low.
Yeah, here you're going to see AJ Baird. This is where you've really got to get your entry speed right, because if you're slowing down too much and you hit that banking, the car is all out of sorts already, and you saw it just went all the way down to the bottom and went sideways. Well, he hasn't lost too much time, still a second back from Claridge. Claridge, in the meantime, a whole 3.5 back from Trangarade from that mistake.
Yeah, both of those guys, Claridge and Bear, are going to have to pay the price now as Trangarade. It's got to be thinking, hey, what happened? I've got a nice cushion now.
You know, one of these things I love about these Lotus 49 races, and especially here at the ring here, Bill, there's not a lot of whole side-by-side racing, but that doesn't make it less exciting because these mistakes that we're seeing, it just makes it so unpredictable. And I think it's a testament, you know, sometimes drivers who aren't a fan of road racing might say, oh, it's just a procession, you know, just watching drivers go around. Not so in the 49s. Even though there's not a lot of passing, it's just such a nail-biter wondering, okay, who can minimize these mistakes?
Looking at Dudignon up to 5th position. Let's go ahead and maybe give you an interval. He's got about 2.7 to get to Bruce Snelson.
Whew, he has really dropped Sprecher. It's 12 seconds between himself and him, and that's over, I'd say, about a lap and a half here.
Right. And I can't give you qualifying times because they didn't qualify, but if I do it on just warm-up times, he was a 6:32. Yeah. I guess we do have qualifying time. So yeah. So Dudignon put in a 6:32. I'm not going to give you the decimal point because it's really not important. Snelson got is this right? A 6:38. So the difference of 6 seconds.
Yep, that's about what you kind of expect around here. And thank goodness we live in the virtual world here where we don't have to worry about all the helicopter gas that we need to spend just following these battles around here.
And Snelson just had a little bit of an off. He got it gathered up, but that means maybe we can go on board with the French driver now because he's running them down.
Oh, and they're already lapping cars. David French sneaking by, or pulling off to the side to let them sneak by, rather.
For those of you scoring at home, David French from the USA, just so you don't get confused.
Actually...
Australia, actually, yeah.
Yeah. Other side of the world, Bill.
Well, French gets out of the way for the Frenchman Dudignon, who goes by.
Dudignon already now within a second of Snelson, coming up to Fluke Plots. This is going to be a great place for him to catch him if he can get right up under the... and he's actually going to pull over and going to go side by side over the jump. And Snelson is going to let him through. Believe it or not, Bill, this section here across Fluke Plots down to the Swedish Cross is not flat out. You have to lift around these kinks.
Well, now Dudignon has done all he could with, and I apologize to all the other drivers, the second-tier drivers of this event. Now he's got a little harder work. He's going to try to run down some of these next guys. 13, let's see, how far does he have to go to get to his next one?
Billy Bob Wright had a problem. He was trying to chase down Sprecher. It happened just now. I'm not sure if he's able to continue.
Yeah. You know what? He was coming to make the pass. This will be good. And it looks like... Was it the jump? Maybe the car loose?
You get a little bit of air over there, and that's what he wasn't anticipating. There's a slight kink to the right, and I think he didn't,
He didn't have it pointed in the right direction. It kept going straight.
Yeah. See, right here on board, you forget that you got to have it a little off to the right, and whoop. Boy, he's very lucky that didn't end up worse than it did, although he did take a tow. He could have been tumbling across the track if that went just a little bit more to the left.
I'm sorry to see that happen to him, but that was interesting. That was a lesson learned for me there.
In case you ever attempt to tackle this place in the 49?
I do like racing the 49 here, to be honest with you.
Oh, so you have driven laps here.
Oh,
okay.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's the first thing I learned was to lift going over the jump. Otherwise, couldn't see where I was going. I saw a lot of sky in my windshield.
Do I dare ask what your best lap time is?
I've yet to post a time all the way around, but I'm hoping to.
There's no shame in that. I don't think my dad's completed a lap in the 49 around here. Man, Michel is catching at 3 seconds a lap. He could still win this thing despite whatever his weird issue was at the start.
5 laps to go. Usually that means we are nearing the end, but they're not even halfway yet.
Yeah. So much racing left to go. So many mistakes that could still happen. And Frank Oosterhuis may have had a problem. Oh, actually, it looks like he made a bit of an inadvertent dive bomb on trying to overtake Zoko. Zoko gave him room and then just took the spot back. Here we see on the replay. Oof, he got very lucky that he had a little bit of runoff on the outside there.
So Zoko back up into 8th. Oosterhuis close behind in 9th. We're probably the closest battle. We'll keep checking in on that one.
Oh, Mick Claridge had a problem coming into the carousel once again. He did exactly what Bear did the last lap and got loose on entry.
That time Bear didn't mirror his mistake, and he's able to pick up a little ground.
It's been staying within about a second of Claridge. I don't think Bear can manage to catch Train Raid, who's gapped these guys now to about 5 seconds, but Bear could potentially hope for a second place. That's if Dudagnon doesn't catch these guys, which I wouldn't be hopeful for at this point. In fact, Dudagnon is now within a second and a half already.
It's amazing.
This track is right close to the border of Germany and France, up in the Eifel Mountains. Wonder if Michel has actually managed to get here in real life and put some laps in.
So coming up now, he's within striking distance here of getting Bear and then Claridge, and I would not put it out of the realm of reality here that he could actually run down Trenkerid.
I definitely think that is doable. The question is getting by him, because I don't think Trenkerid's going to give it up easily.
And Ove, we've talked about it all season long, looking to get his first win. It would be so nice, not only to get your first win here, but to get it in the same race that has Claridge and Dudagnon both in the same event.
That would be an accomplishment for sure. And I can't wait for that battle. Oh, Mick going way off. He's off into the grass. He's got to try and save it. And this is a critical point where you really want to be able to get the power down. Coming on the Dottinger Hoa. He did get it back on just in time, but that puts Bear right within his draft.
I just can't help but shake my head at what Claridge. Bear's had some trouble.
He may have missed
a gear,
shift?
maybe. Yeah, I would think.
Highly unusual. Here comes Dudagnon. Everybody gets through Antonius Beach cleanly. It's so hard to brake for these corners. Getting the car woed up, coming up from such high speeds. Everybody through there nicely.
Now, usually what you would see here from these guys, from the UK driver and the French driver, Claridge and Dudagnon, is they would take their time, feel each other out, do a little bobbing and weaving. I'm not sure if Dudagnon right now can afford to waste any more time. He wanted, look at Claridge is loose, and that's going to give Dudagnon some momentum. No, not enough track room.
Oh, but he gets into him.
What, twice?
Wow, I am amazed they came out of that. I'm sorry, I'm not saying much. I'm just kind of watching to see what happens here.
Oh, here he got the move. Claridge was loose.
He let him through. He got on the radio. I think he told him to take it.
So Claridge lets him by. It looks like he's going to be able to hang on to third spot now.
Ooh, horrible run through the double right-hander of Flugplatz. And that puts AJ Bear on top of Mick Claridge. Boy, Mick's philosophy of a loose car is not working out for him here.
And we've talked to him before. So much of it seems to be these cars, Joe, are dependent on the weather. We hear them all the time. My car was set up for cold. My car was set up for hot. I guess you really don't know since it's
until you
dynamic weather until you come in. What you got?
I'll be honest, I'm not that good. I have a one set for all, and I don't notice the difference. But for guys at that level, yeah, when you're really fine tuning and you're getting to within inches of where you need to be every lap, that affects how the car drives a lot more drastically.
And here's our leader.
And with that back and forth that Dudagnon and Claridge had, they're now 8 seconds apart, Bill, so he's got a little bit more breathing space.
With 4 laps to go. Now, look at the lap times that are up there. A 6:36 for Trengarade, a 6:33 for Dudagnon. With 4 laps to go, 3-second difference. Multiply 3 by 4, you get 12. Trengarade's only ahead by 7 seconds. Not only will Dudagnon catch him on this math, he'll win going away.
Well, he's got to catch him and pass him, though, Bill. That's the thing. Ove's, I really don't see him just pulling over and letting him have it, especially getting a win here and in the final race of the season. I think Ove is going to be fighting tooth and nail to keep him behind him.
How about a quick shout out here while we have a second? Go up to 14th position. Jack Olstad, I think, brought the car back out on the track. He's still on the lead lap. 5 minutes behind, but running out there in 14th.
Yeah, his last lap time was a 6:44. Ove a 6:36. So with their distance apart, he might be able to finish on the lead lap still.
How about a little camber time for 12th position? Hideki Kobisto. I've been practicing this name. I want to get in, reward myself for at least doing a little research there. Running in 4th, running in 12th right now. You remember when Billy Bob had trouble? Apparently, I think he's probably still on the lead lap, as they haven't come around yet.
Yeah, multiple drivers finally work their way past him.
Gap to the leader, 6.8 seconds.
Oh, big problem for Mick. Did we see that on screen? What? Oh boy, Mick does not like the carousel, Bill. He fell out of it again. This time he took a big clobber to the outside. Well, watch this. Up and out, and then boom.
Third time is the charm. AJ Bear finally gets that position.
Now, when we ride on board, I was watching his suspension to try and see if that got damaged. It didn't look like it changed shape. Oof, that's such a hard hit. I'm amazed that it didn't change shape at all. He might still be okay. He seems to be holding up to Bear, but that's kind of your worst fear in this car. You kind of want to hit the nose or maybe the engine amazingly, because the engine is pretty sturdy in this car. You don't want to hit the suspension. It's already such a twitchy car. You upset the handling, and then you're going to have a hell of a time.
So, Claridge back to 4th. And, you know, he is losing ground. This is interesting. Bruce Nelson now. Starting to nip off tenths of a second. We'll have to keep an eye. It's about just over 3 seconds from Claridge back to Snelson.
Of all the tracks, because Mick is such a gutsy driver, this would have been probably lowest on my list to say that this was a weak one for him. He's usually, with the bravery that it takes to get around here fast, I would think that he would be incredibly strong.
Again, one of my favorite corner is the carousel. It's the one corner I think I actually run fairly decently here. Mick, if you want a few lessons, come on, I'll help you. I'll help you tell you how to get through it.
Not sure that he'll be calling you up for that anytime soon.
Well, I can keep it off the wall.
All right.
All right.
Let's update on that gap. Dude and Yong has only gotten it down to 6 seconds on Trangarade. This will be, well, not quite the first lap because he did have a little bit of a run-in before, so we're not going to see pure pace. But this next time across the line, we need to watch and see how each of them handle the clean air. Whoa!
Oh, Ove with a big off.
When you get greedy coming up down into Hohenron like that, that can happen. You're trying to maximize how much speed you can take into there. Thankfully, didn't touch anything.
That cost him about 0.6 of a second. Back to the Frenchman who's coming.
Now down to 5.5 seconds. That means Michelle can start to get glances of him on some of the straighter parts of the track, what little there is.
Again, that never helps me. That only makes me go slower. I know you're supposed to help you go faster, but it just makes me dive the corners deeper, and it just slows down my lap time.
For me, it always depended on my mental state. If I've got a cool head, yes, it makes me go faster because I can concentrate. Wow, so much air over the jump for Trangarade. But if I'm flustered, then I actually tend to do worse, Bill, because I'm pushing the car too hard. Yeah, I get motivated to go faster, but sometimes with some cars in iRacing, there's that old racing adage: to go faster, you got to go slower. You got to smooth your inputs and really focus on your markers rather than really try to overdrive the car.
Looking at AJ Bear running in third, being chased by Claridge. Claridge must be listening to the broadcast because that chance that Snelson was going to get him, that's not going to happen. He's picked up about 1.5 seconds since I brought that up. That interval about 4.5 seconds now, back to 5th position. In fact, Claridge has not given up his quest for a podium, as he's right on the back of Bear.
Here they come up into Audner Forst once again. This is one that set Claridge off early on in the race. Remember what I said about it being nearly impossible to get 17 incidents and still running? Well, Claridge is making me try to eat my words here, it seems.
Yeah.
He's come back from so many scares. I just cannot believe that car is still competitive.
Bear doing a good job of fending him off. We're right on board with Mick the Quick. Look it up at the Koala.
If Bear can get this podium too, he needs to be proud of it. That is a well-earned podium. Dudin-Yong's chopped off another 0.5 second. He's now only 5 back from Trangarade. Shell is just, compared to everybody else around here, looking immaculate. Just very smooth over everything, around every corner. I almost found it impossible to be smooth around here. Just the car bounces and bumps around it. No lap that I've ever driven around this track feels like it's under control.
Okay, we've talked about the front 5, Trangarade, Dugagnan, Bear, Claridge, and Snelson. Let's go back, talk about some of the drivers a little farther back. Here comes a newcomer, Ramon Sprechter, running in 6th position. Talk about being all by yourself. Oh, let's go to P3. We're going to run down. Look at this. Here it comes.
Off track through Kesselchen. This is a scary place to try to go side by side.
Oh! And Claridge just continues after he makes the pass.
Whew. Glad they got that sorted out through Bravery Corner.
Going into the corner after the pass. Claridge just gets the car so squirrely. All right, here he comes, Joe.
Can he get it right this time? He's gone off both ways. There we go. All right.
All right, that's better. I approve. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to go down a little bit farther. We talked about the driver in 6th position. Let's go back to 7th position now. Brett Ryle.
Hasn't really had any screen time, I don't think, since the drop of the green, but he's running 7th. A very nice race for the number 10 so far.
One position out of the points. 21 seconds to get to Sprecher up in 6th. 15 seconds to the guy behind him, Benjamin Soko. Soko was in a battle earlier. That's broken off now, as he's racing all by himself as well. How about Andrew Ng, racing in 9th position? Andrew, I believe, is a truck driver in the Midwest. He was down in Florida, got down to Billy Bob Wright's area, and the two went out. I think Billy Bob took him out for some seafood.
Really? I did not know that Andrew was a truck driver. Huh.
I believe that's why he was down there. Said he had something to do with a load, so I'm just going to assume. Otherwise, I don't want to think what other possibilities that could be.
Yeah, let's leave that one alone.
Okay. Jacob Wright, or I'm sorry, let's go to Jacob Meyer, running in 10th position.
Jacob hailing from your state, California, but again, I don't recognize Jacob, so I'm not sure how often he's been running the 49 here.
And then back to Hideki Koivisto, running in 11th.
Interesting stat about Hideki. He has not broken the 7-minute mark yet this race. His fastest lap was a 7:04, and that was the last one he ran.
One spot back, Ian Bassey.
Bassey, another British driver. Well, I shouldn't say British, a UKNI club driver. So they've got more representation here. I'm surprised we don't see more British drivers in this series. I'm not sure if maybe the time slot doesn't work out. This being a British car, as we got the battle going on once again between Bear and Claridge, as Bear's got him back.
Yep. So now Bear, hang on, look at Claridge looking for a way around. He's got to run. Does he have enough track?
Oh, this is also...
Oh, no!
Bear loses
He's
it.
in the
He's
walls.
in
He's
the
going to stay
wall.
up. Look at the UK driver get on the brakes and avoid getting into the back of Bear.
Oh, no. Bear was doing so good. Let's see what happened here. Just drifted a little wide in that first left-hander coming into Tiergarten. And at that point, Bill, you really, really need to be slowing the car up. If you put a wheel off into the grass, it's almost hopeless to get it stopped in time.
Watch from above. Watch Claridge keep his cool as the car in front, he just woes it up. Actually, he breaks right out of the picture.
He had a front row seat to that, and his heart had to be pounding when he saw that car get airborne. AJ Bear brings it in. I'm not sure if that car is going to be repairable in 2 laps.
So, Bear's disappointment is Brett Rial's reward, as he was racing. Ryle was racing back there in 7th. He's probably going to get to vulture that spot, get into a points-paying position. So now, as we've gone through some of the drivers that are a little farther back, we can focus our attention up front.
2.5 seconds now. Bill, what are the odds? You're the gambler. Can Michelle get him?
I think we're going to have a fun last lap. Yeah, I think he can catch him. My dad always said, catching and passing are different. And right now, I think Ove Trengere is going to be the rooster. Passing him is going to be like trying to milk him. The hard part starts after you catch him. And right now, that is what Dugeron is trying to do.
Down to 2 seconds already. He gained a lot up through Audner Forst and down here into Metzgefeld. So give us a much better idea of where he's strong compared to Trengere. And if Michelle is smart, he's going to be watching that sort of stuff now that he's close enough, Bill. He's going to see where he's gaining and where he's not gaining as much. I would say where he's losing, but I don't think there's anywhere that Michelle's losing time on Ove at this point.
If you missed the beginning part of the broadcast and you're wondering why the Frenchman is back there, for some reason, and we're still not sure why, on lap number 2, he had to come in for a pit stop. We assumed to take fuel, that maybe he had the wrong setup on the car. He had his qualifying setup. Which, Joe, might be why he's so fast. Maybe the qualifying setup really good.
Well, qualifying setups tend to be geared up so that you have very little fuel. So that I don't think that's the case, Bill. It would be quite a handful if he was running a qualifying setup with a full tank of gas. Yeah. And it wouldn't really be a full tank, I shouldn't say, because a full tank in these cars will get you for almost 3 hours, I want to say.
Yes, they're pretty much a bomb on wheels. That's what's one of the scariest thing when they would get the cars.
The gas tank literally wraps around the driver, Bill.
Yeah.
There's a reason why the theory was back in the day that it was safer for the driver to be thrown from the car, why they didn't have seatbelts on these things.
1.5 seconds.
Only half a second over a significant portion of the track. That's seems to be a portion where Trangrade maybe will have the legs over Dudagnon a little bit better.
Let's see how these guys negotiate the carousel. There they go. Oh, I love that camera shot. Look at that, right off the tailpipe, looking back at the Frenchman coming after him.
Both of them were extremely smooth. Boy, Mick Claridge hasn't been able to shake Bruce Snelson, Bill. Remember, you talked about him gaining. He is down to less than a second once again on the UK&I driver.
Yeah, well, Claridge pretty much had to park the car while Baird was disintegrating in front of him. So I think that allowed Snelson to get up there. We'll keep an eye on that.
Speaking of disintegrating, that'll certainly be interesting when iRacing implements bits of these cars coming off. Not that there's really much parts of the 49 that really could come off and fly around compared to modern cars.
Riding on board with Snelson, looking ahead at Claridge.
Dudagnon's now closed it into within a second. If Michel catches him any more by the time they hit the Darinarhoa, I fear this race might be over.
Now, Joe, we cover this once a week, but these guys know each other. They race together a lot as they show up in the iRacing racing a lot together. So they've seen each other many a times.
Absolutely, and Michel's going to have plenty of knowledge about how Ove races, with these guys having been front runners for so many seasons in this car. Oh, look at him, he's now within 7/10. I think this is going to be a slam dunk for Michel. Unfortunate for Ove, unless there's a big mistake coming out of this corner. Gallows Hill. All right, he's going to have the draft, and you can look at Ove. Boy, this is a car you don't usually have to weave to try and break the draft on.
Here he comes. Michel Dudagnon is going to do it on the left side. Now let's see if Ove tucks back in behind him. There they go.
If he can get a better run out of here, which
there's no track over there.
He tried his hardest. He knew that he had to keep his foot in. He may not have lifted through there, which is doable, but you got to be right on point. Okay, can Trangrade get him back? It's going to be a tall ask with the pace that we've seen out of Dudagnon. Oh, look at this.
Here they come. This is similar to what we just saw.
Well, Snelson got him. Snelson
down
up
that long
into
straight.
third. Yep.
Oh, Snelson is loose. They do it. I think they actually touch.
Couldn't quite hear what Snelson said over the radio, but he definitely got on after they made contact. White flag is out, Bill. And this is it. If Mick Claridge wants the podium, he's got to hustle back in front.
Meanwhile, Trangrade doing his very best to hang on to the back of Dudagnon. Oh, as they fly, Dudagnon, oh boy, they fly over there.
And they're not getting just a mere, inches off the ground. You're a couple feet up in the air in this car.
But really, I had to look at it from above, from the view that I watched, is kind of in a helicopter cam, and you can actually see the shadow separate from the car. It is frightening.
Ooh, Claridge right on top of him again. Is he going to stick his nose in on the Swedish cross? He's trying. He's looking. This is not wide.
Easy, boys! They get together! We got to look at the replay here.
And I think Mick Claridge hit the incident limit, and then,
well, it would.
No, Bruce went outside of the track. There you see Mick Claridge. He disappears, and then Bruce just flies out of the Armco.
We'll watch that after the race. Snelson probably saying, "I wish you could have hit the incident limit before you smashed into me."
Boy, and Mick Claridge should have been talking to Billy Bob Wright on that one, because that was almost the exact same thing what we saw before. Car gets airborne, and you can't steer when the rubber is not attached to the concrete.
And I think Claridge was in such a hurry. I think we talked about lifting. I think he was just trying to get as much speed as he could because the nose really got high when he went over. Meanwhile, our leaders have worked their way through. Where are they actually? Did they just go through the gears? Let me get caught up.
That was through Defense Valley, and they're now heading to Brightchild, I think it is. Well, Ramon Sprecher, who started this race in 7th, mind you. Oh, and he just spun. Oh, he might not have this sealed up. That was in Metzgefeld. Brett Rial, thankfully, is about 30 seconds back from him.
Yeah.
Ramon gets it going, so he's still got the podium. But boy, from 7th place to 3rd for Ramon, I don't think he expected that one. Ove is pushing this car to the limits to try and run down Dudagnon.
About a second back. This might be close enough if he can hang in there till they get through Gallo Hill, Joe, to make a shot at it.
Yeah,
in fact, now they have to negotiate around the lap traffic here. That's Ian Bassey gets out of the way.
Yeah, definitely slowed up Dudagnon.
Yeah.
Less so Trangaré. That is a breath of fresh air. Unfortunately for Trangaré, though, they're now in one of the most technical sections of the track across the top of the mountain here, Bill. It is just left, right, left, right. There's no fast straights through here.
Dudagnon not able to shake the Norwegian, though.
I'm willing to bet you Dudagnon is pushing just as hard, knowing that he's got to get him outside of his draft before Dadi Narhoa.
Joe, let's go ahead and jump ahead to Gallo Hill. You got to get a pretty good drive out of that to have a shot at it, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. He's got to find the traction. He's got to get to the power confidently. I don't think that's going to be a problem for either of these drivers. The real issue is going to be if he catches them and they're side by side by the time they hit Antonius Beach. You want to talk about fireworks? You got two drivers desperately wanting to win side by side in a corner that just barely needs a lift to make it through. I'll be very curious to see what happens if that scenario erupts.
It is the last race of the season. There are no points championships up for grabs here. This is just racing for pride right now.
And that's why I think that Trangaré is really throwing caution to win. You're seeing not quite a sloppy lap, but really just a wild lap around here in the final one, trying to just hold on to that tailpipe.
So now they come up to the mini carousel.
He might have it. He might actually have this. Over Swallowtail. Here's the mini carousel you mentioned. And they both clean through. They're clean through.
Not many corners left, right, Joe, until they start to put it full throttle.
Yeah, just right about here's where you're feathering it. Feather, get on it. 6/10 when they came out of there. Is this going to be enough? I think he's a little too far back, though.
6/10, just under 5 is not shrinking by much. 5.6, 5.4, 5.3. I don't think he's going to have enough time to get there. 4.5.
It's starting to close. The closer he gets, the more effect it's going to have. It's going to be right down to the wire. If he's going to have to outbrake him into Tier Garden, oh boy.
3 car lengths, 2 car lengths. I don't think he's going to get there.
It's going to have to take a wild dive. Nothing here. He closes in. Look at how hard he's trying.
The right-hander.
And that's it. That's
And
all
that's
she wrote.
it. The final round. He starts on the pole. He forgets to put fuel in the car, we assume. He goes back to the back. He comes all the way through the field. The Frenchman, Michel Dudagnan, with the season finale win. Ove Trengere gets second. Now,
Oh no.
Ing was in the points-paying position.
Can he
go
get
ahead
the car going? And we're not missing anything. We can still manage to call Sprecher coming to get the podium because he's not even past Dottinger Hoa. All right, Eng has got the car going. And he's got about 50 seconds over Jacob Meyer, so we might get that lone point.
Sprecher is going to get the final podium spot. As he is about 22 seconds ahead of Brett Real, who is in 4th. There it is.
Nicely
Sprecher.
done to Ramon.
Yep. Qualified 7th, up 4 spots. Real, we're going to assume Real is going to get 4th position. We assume that Benjamin Soko brings it home in 5th. And looks like Andrew Eng has it going in the right direction. He's going to get that final points-paying position. You're watching the Global Sim Racing channel. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back to run down the complete finishing order, do driver interviews, and close-up shop for the season. Back in a few. Welcome to the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of the Lotus 49 Champion. What is the? I should know the
Tidal Influence.
It's
Tidal Influence World Championship.
There. Thank you very much, Joe. And why don't you run down the finishing order for us here today, Joe?
Absolutely. Michel Dudagnan managed to come back from an incredible deficit to take the win, but Ove Trangarade fought him all the way down to the line, less than half a second between them. It's incredible over this lap. Then Ramon Sprecher, with a great podium finish, managed to avoid all the pitfalls that everybody else around him fell into. Brett Rial in fourth, with Benjamin Zocco rounding out the top five. Andrew Ang in the final points paying position in sixth. Jacob Meyer, nice run, 15th on the grid to 7th for him. Bruce Nelson, not so good, started 5th, finished 8th. Hideki Koivisto, great finish for him, usually tends to be one of the back markers, but comes home in 9th. Rounding out the top 10, Mick Claridge, he finishes in 10th after an incident with another driver as well. Jack Ulstad comes home in 11th, with Ian Bossy in 12th, and David French in 13th. Don Good comes home in 14th. AJ Bear was the one that had problems towards the end of the race, fighting with Mick Claridge. Just lost it coming into Tiergarten, and unfortunately wrecked out. William Wright, Billy Bob Wright, comes home in 16th, with Frank Oosterhuis in 17th, and Andre Bruno rounding out the field in 18th.
While we wait for a few drivers to step into the interview room here, I can report this is the season finale here, and the drivers were racing not only for pride and for honor, but also for some prize money as well. The first place driver is due $50. Second place driver gets $30, and the third place driver, now that's not in today's race, but in the overall standings, gets $20. Cleanest driver picks up $20. And finally, the most improved driver award, I didn't know that was there. I might have entered this series. He also gets $20 as well.
And I think we got the replay spooled up for that incident between Claridge and Snelson.
This is worth the watch.
So it's already shaky coming up this fast straight where you got to lift a few times. And like I said, you're going to see that jump where the front wheels just get up there. And I think maybe what happens, wow, they get really up in the air.
Yeah.
I think what happened there, Bill, is that the right side, I think there isn't much as a jump on the right side of the track. And that's why drivers we saw twice today get caught out by that. And man, poor Snelson, he just went for quite a ride. He maybe would have been able to try and limp the car back into fourth or something, but as soon as the car goes outside the barriers in iRacing, it disappears and you're done.
Well, Joe, that's not even probably the normal racing line for Claridge over there. Who knows how many times he's been over there.
It's so marginal heading through that Swedish cross kink. So he was taking a risk, and both of them paid the price.
You can see that car get up, and then they get together there. So it was a wild ride after that. There you have get to see a bit of the emerald sky here in Germany. Okay, well, looks like we have one interview we can bring in here. This is probably a good one. One of the series organizers, Benjamin Zocco, didn't have a great race today. Joe, go ahead and talk to the Australian driver.
Ben, you came home in 5th place, so a top 5, but it certainly wasn't without its scares. Do you think anybody out there didn't have a whoa moment out on the Nordschleife?
No, I think it's pretty much impossible to not have a whoa moment on the Nordschleife. So, yes, that's what I'm not very quick there, so that's what I count on. And it came good again, as it always does. Even though if you just keep it on the road, then you'll usually get a good result.
I see that you had a little bit slower lap times towards the end. Was that you backing off just to try and get to the finish, or did you have some damage that slowed you down?
No, I'm pretty sure that someone from Team USA drained my fuel tank before the race, because I'm fairly sure I used the same setup as I did in a race earlier this week, and I went the whole race distance, but my spotter was telling me we were going to need to pit, and then I looked at the fuel box and it said I needed to pit, so I was fuel saving for the last 2 laps, and I only made it just over the finish line, really. So I didn't have any choice in the matter there. I would have preferred to have stayed a bit closer to Brett, just in case that he had a woe moment and I was able to catch up, but no, I was just running out of fuel.
Well, that's not something we probably would have picked up on if we had noticed that during the race. Again, congratulations on organizing a great series. We had a lot of fun covering it this season and look forward to you guys being back next season.
Yes, I'd like to thank Tidal Influence and GSRC and everyone who joined in on the races throughout the season to make it a success. It's been really good. Really looking forward to next season. And yeah, it's going to be really tight with the championship points here. I think, just off the top of my head, I think this result means that USA might be tied in there at some point. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, and it's really tight between a lot of people there. So very competitive, a lot of fun, and yeah, really looking forward to next season. Hope to see you guys soon.
Absolutely, that was Benjamin Zocco, 5th place finisher today. And Bill, do you have your choice of who you want to talk to? It looks like you've got Mick Claridge all mic'd up and all ready. So
I'm going to talk to the series champion when we have a chance. Wasn't his best race today. Let's go ahead and save the championship. Congratulations for the end there. Let's talk about your race today, and let's go right to the jump when you got together there with I guess it was AJ Berry you got into.
Bruce, actually.
Oh, Bruce Nelson. Yeah, it was Bruce Nelson who's coming up on you.
Oh, yeah. That's a real shame. Yeah. I didn't expect a frontal lift like that.
Yeah, we were talking that's probably not the racing line, and it looked like Snelson didn't jump. I guess there's more of a jump on that side of the track than on the right side.
Yeah, my car was jumping on the right-hand side anyway. I had to really. I don't normally have to lift as early as I did. It was a messy week all week. I didn't have much practice at all, and I looked in the garage just before the race, and I saw a set that said Nürburgring. So I thought, I'll try that. And it died pretty much. It died pretty much on lap 2.
Well, look, I'm going to have some spare time this summer, so if you need a little coaching on how to do the carousel here, just give me a call. You could not get it figured out, could you?
No, it was, either too loose or just head into the wall. Yeah, why not try, going around it properly?
Well, let's put this race behind you. It was fun to watch you. Congratulations on the championship win. $50 coming your way. That'll buy you some fish and chips.
Oh, will it? Yeah, I'm straight down there.
So before we let you go, I want to talk a little bit, get a chance. Let's go up close and personal here with Mick Claridge. I guess you are a musician, so although I guess you're a drummer, and that's, I don't know, that actually qualifies, but what is your musical situation? You're playing out on the weekends, huh?
Yeah, I've been playing drums since I can remember, and I'm out every weekend playing for all the drunkards in London, So yeah, that's me. That's my life on the weekends. I wanted to say thanks to everyone. Thanks to Ben. Thanks to Jack, thanks to you guys, and thanks to Tidal Influence for everything that you've done this season. Everyone's put in such an effort this season to make it a great series, And it was an idea to just bring new guys into the series, and I myself, I've been racing car since they were car games on Atari 2600s. And I thought the highlight of my sim racing career would be doing the 24-hour races on R Factor, but this has just wiped it. This is the best thing I've ever done.
Well, we're glad to hear it. Congratulations on the championship. You put on a couple good shows. Today was fun, and the one where you came from the back of the pack, that was great too. Good luck to you, and we'll see you down the road.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, see you next season.
Mick Claridge, not the best day for him today, but he does take home the championship, Joe.
We got one more quick interview before we have to go out, and that is Jack Ulstad, who finishes in the top 10 today, but also was instrumental in getting this series off the ground. Once again, just like we said to Ben, a huge thank you, Jack, for approaching us. We just had a ball covering this season.
Oh, well, thank you, guys. You guys have just done a tremendous job, beyond what we expected. You and Soup and the other guys that stepped in and took your place when you were doing the ostrich rodeos and the paper rock scissors championship that Soup was in. Those guys, all of you guys, just did a tremendous job, and we thank you guys. We thank Tidal Influence. Just a tremendous sponsor arrangement with them. I would like to tell you guys about what we got planned for this next season if we got time.
We've got a little bit of quick time.
Yeah. Well, as you guys know, we've moved the time to a time slot that is going to be much more good, much better for most of the guys out there. This time slot that we ended up with wasn't the greatest for the guys in Europe and people like my friend Sandeep, who's in Asia. By moving it to the 13:30 GMT time slot on Saturdays, we'll now have probably, I'm expecting double the race entries. And of course, we're also moving on to we're going to do this series is going to be dedicated to raising money for ALS. And the name of the championship will be Racing for Rick World Cup Challenge. And it's in honor of a friend of mine who's been battling ALS, and he's a race fanatic, tremendously talented individual who has now had ALS for I think about 4 years now. And he can't do anything with his hands. He's in a wheelchair, but this will be something that will be entertaining for all those people who have been battling ALS. I don't know, I've actually had 2 or 3 people in my life that have had this disease. And so I'm very motivated to do what we can. And we're coming up with some unique ways of allowing guys to win something for their efforts to raise money. And we're still working all that out, but we should have it all figured out within this next week. So we're pretty excited about that.
Oh, we're excited to cover it, and it's so awesome to see you guys rally together for a good cause. Sorry to cut things a little bit short, but we've got a broadcast coming up right after this one. So, Bill, I'm just going to hand it back to you.
Let's go ahead and like to thank Jack and Benjamin for both promoting and organizing the series. We talked to them after the race. That's the Lotus 49 World Cup Championship, sponsored by Tidal Influence. And while this concludes our coverage of this season, the I's are being dotted and the T's are being crossed, and you heard Jack talk about it. GSRC plans to be back next season to cover season number 2, and we hope that you join us. Thanks to Tidal Influence, they're an ecological consulting firm based in Long Beach, California, that restores wetlands, saves and studies endangered species, and educates children about our environment. For more information, go to Tidal Influence. I got it. Thanks to the software and hardware that you see on the screen right now that we use on our broadcast. Thanks to Eric Eckelman and Casey Lawn for their music. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSRC and Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel. Finally, on behalf of my mic mate, Joe Peak, Amjad Yaman, and our director, and Dougie Beard, our camera artist, I'd like to thank all of you for watching. With that said, it's time for us to go have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.